In May, I got an email from Albert Wolfe sharing that he's traveling to the Fort Collins area visiting family soon from Guangzhou, China, and that he loves what I'm doing with Loco Think Tank and has been listening to and enjoying the Loco Experience podcast, and would I be interested in having him on as a guest? Flattery will get you everywhere with me. And so, of course, I said yes, and we had one opening during his stay here on the night before he left back for China. In the meantime, we shared a pair of lunches, one with my other China expert, Kim O'Neill, and we shared a podcast conversation full of more twists and turns than a road course in a Formula One. The biggest pivot in Albert's career was when he left a career in education as director and associate professor of an English language department at university in Guangzhou to become the GM of a long-established brand, a retail brand, Healthy Household Limited, which had been a catalog company much like the Sears catalog in the old-time USA. He oversaw a transition to e-commerce and also shifted the use of the real estate, some of the real estate, to become a high-end bilingual kindergarten where he became the founding principal. The school grew quickly, and Albert exited after about 3 years and took something of a sabbatical. But his contacts kept calling him to do consultancy work for their businesses, and now, 6 years later, Albert has joined the team at international coaching and training company Adaptive Leaders and co-authored a book, Performance Leadership, 4 Keys to Extraordinary Results. I doubled my knowledge of China during Albert's stay in Fort Collins and also learned that not very good at ping pong in China is better than most, including me, in America. There's a ton of great business insight in this one and a lot of laughs, so please enjoy my conversation with Albert Wolfe. Welcome to the Loco Experience podcast. On this show, you'll get to know business and community leaders from all around northern Colorado and beyond. Our guests share their stories, and through it all, you'll be inspired and entertained. These conversations are real and raw, and no topics are off limits. So pop in a breath mint and get ready to meet our latest guest. Welcome back to the Loco Experience podcast. My guest today is Albert Wolfe, and he is a business executive coach with, Adaptive Leaders.
Yeah.
I remembered. And they are based out of Guangzhou, China, but serve a global audience. And he is visiting family in northern Colorado, and we connected on LinkedIn, and I was like, yeah, I want to learn more. So we've had lunch a couple times already, so I know quite a bit about you, and I've learned so much I've probably learned as much about China in the last 3 weeks through those 2 lunches with you and then with Kim O'Neill as I knew from the 50 years before.
Yeah, so you can pretend to be surprised if I say any of that again.
Now.
Yeah.
So let's get started with why are you here?
Well, I'm visiting family.
Okay.
My family moved around a lot growing up in the U.S., and Colorado was one of those places. So we still have family here.
Yeah.
My sister and her lovely family are here. My aunt and uncle are here just north of Fort Collins.
And your sister's got similar aged children as well, is
Yeah,
that true?
it's fun. We have 3 girls. I have 1 girl, she has 1, and my brother has 1, all born in 2020. We call them the COVID cousins.
Nice.
So they all have a really good relationship. And then there's various boys as well.
But they're sprinkled in throughout.
Yeah.
What a neat thing to have 3 little girls that will be, how old are they now?
They're all like 5, 6, depending
Okay.
on what month their birthday was in.
So really kind of blossoming into the young ladies that the kindergarten and first graders always are.
That's right. They have very strong opinions.
And so let's talk about your firm and what your firm does. Are you in particular industries, and who do you coach and how do you coach? Do you do team stuff and what's it like? Well, we'll save the what's it like in Guangzhou. But like, who are your clients?
Sure. Well, we work with a range of industries and a range of company sizes because the main thing we do is adaptive leadership. So adaptivity and senior and middle leadership teams. And it turns out most industries have those kinds of people.
Sure.
And so we've even worked with startups all the way to Fortune 500.
So is it almost like a traditional change management organization where you're helping the leadership change the way they do things?
To a certain extent, a lot of times change management is sort of top down.
Here's the new software. Get used to it.
Right. And we'll divide everybody into groups. These are the people that are fine with it. These are the people that'll never be fine with it. And these are the people in the middle. We do it's a little bit connected to that, but it's more about how you lead. So you yourself are a business leader, and you have your various organizations, and you've got lots of experience.
Mostly persuasion and charisma, I think, is how I lead.
Yeah, I would agree. You're very winsome.
You got to witness my relationship with Kim, who was a facilitator, now a member as well.
Yeah, you're very winsome. You're very personable. You're a great listener, and you are very strong. You have like this, it's almost like your dominant hand. You have your dominant leadership things that you are awesome at. Where you probably run into trouble is where there's that other side where you can do it, but you're not great at it. Or maybe you just hate doing things in this certain realm. I wouldn't know what those are for you.
Email management is a significant one, but also like if people aren't like instantly ready to come along for the ride, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Leave you behind.
Right. And that's probably fine some of the time. But there are times where that might work against you.
Sure.
And so actually changing the way that you think about those email management, or when people are kind of don't get it, don't get you right away. If you can expand your repertoire and you can sort of build up that side of your leadership, you actually become way more effective very quickly.
So you're most often engaging with people on a one-on-one basis, that leader that recognizes a need for them to change the way they're leading right now.
Yeah, I think we probably started with more one-on-one stuff because that's the sort of traditional executive coaching approach. And then we just found those leaders were saying, you know what, I would like my whole team to imagine what would happen if everybody on my team was introspective and examining some of the assumptions that are holding them in place. Wow, what could our team do differently? And so we actually now we're doing a lot more team coaching and even sort of focused workshops with teams.
Yeah. More of a leveraged application of that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We didn't really get a chance to talk too much about the Halos relational intelligence that I've studied a little bit and dabbled in, and I've been actually working today on a presentation for a workshop for that.
Tell me.
And the core thesis is kind of like built on polarity, and every person has kind of different strengths and weaknesses, and you're developed kind of by this stereo lens. But relationally, if you can understand that other people think differently than you and are valuable because of that, not despite of that, that you can really both have stronger relationships and stronger outcomes.
Yeah.
And this chapter that I'm working with tomorrow, the chapter I'm a member of, and Kim is as well, is everybody except for me is orange as their either dominant or secondary, which is the achiever entrepreneur personality, and almost all of them are blue as the other thing. So there's all these orange and blue people, which is the organizer planner. I'm stick out like a sore thumb. I'm a white type with green, which is the thinker, the innovator, kind of the classic visionary idea guy, and the green is the social relational, kind of that has connection and good listening skills and whatnot. And so we've got kind of a lopsided room where everybody's this kind of driven achiever and very organized as part of their success in building these, multi-million-dollar businesses, except for myself. And it leaves us with kind of some gaps in our thinking as a collective chapter.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what local think tank is about, is kind of building that collective brain in one room. So anyway, we could probably nerd out on team stuff like that. And a lot of the Halos thing is based on introspection of your type, your particular strengths, and your associated kind of the negative polarity of your type.
Yeah.
The messy inbox is a signal.
Yeah, and I think there's a few things in your story there. One is you've done what we call a sort of a team map. So you've sort of you said, here we all are in the room. There's 10 of us, 12 of us, whatever. And wow, I'm the only one that sort of fits this profile or has these strengths. That's already so valuable, because then it probably helps explain why you may have felt a little bit like that from time to time.
For sure.
And so a team map of, whatever model you use is a super great starting point for a conversation with people. And have you already talked as a team about it?
No, my presentation is tomorrow.
Oh, it's just tomorrow.
So for most of them, it's relatively new content.
Oh, it'll be so great.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be super fun.
Are these companies you're working with, are they American companies working in China? Is your team all English first? You're like multilingual as well, right?
Yeah, we're all bilingual or multilingual at the minimum. So we all speak English, and then we have one guy from Malaysia speaks like 5 languages. But
Okay.
I would say our primary client base is multinational companies. So they could be American companies. It might be French, German. They could be based.
But they have all got mixed nationalities working within them as well.
Right.
Kind of the best of the best to some extent.
Right. And they also have a highly complicated cultural situations.
Right. You got Indians working with Chinese, working with Australians.
Exactly. And so we like to say the more complicated, the better.
Okay.
That's really
your special sauce, kinda.
That's where we thrive.
Interesting.
We love highly complex situations
and that really
and teams.
helps me understand how you fit in so easily with the team. Because you told me you kind of coached on your individual basis a little bit. We just brushed on this in our conversation.
Right.
But your background in linguistics and such made you, and your experience in business, of course, but that broad background in linguistics helped, I assume, like to understand language, you got to kind of understand culture a decent amount as well, right?
Yes, definitely. You sort of end up understanding the
Yes.
culture to a certain extent, but it's also a credibility piece. It sort of gets you a seat at the table when you're working with a multinational team, and maybe they're all kind of struggling with English. There are teams where English is none of their first language.
Right.
It's the language of the office. But then if it's, for example, I speak Mandarin, if there's a Mandarin speaking teammate, and they get really stuck on something, I said, go ahead and say it in Chinese. And they're just so happy that they can do that.
Yeah.
And it just changes the environment. And that's an encouragement I like to give to the listeners, actually, as we're moving to the age of unlimited apps on your phone and AI translation, actually in the headphones, right? You don't even need an internet connection with some of these.
Really?
Because, they're just shipping with AI in the headphones.
Wow.
To translate.
Yeah.
I really want to encourage the listeners. I think moving forward, if you want to differentiate yourself, you will still learn a foreign language to a very high level. That in the global marketplace,
even despite having access to that,
Exactly.
because of that extra insight. It's not just AI telling you the words. You have to have some context to make it really.
And I don't know if it's especially Asian or if it's just every culture, but it's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
And so there, you will always be struggling with the question, what can AI do and what's left for us people? And I just want to encourage people, even though AI is darn good at translation by now, still learning that foreign language to a very high level is a special contribution that us humans can make in this world.
Let's, I think to do your journey justice, it actually might be more fun to unfold it from closer to the start. Can we do that?
Sure.
I was going to ask about kind of that first time in China.
Sure.
But I think I want to go all the way back to 5-year-old Albert.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, if you go back to 2-year-old Albert, you
Albert.
actually get.
You remember it?
I don't, but this has become a legend in our family. I was apparently already a linguist because I was correcting another 2-year-old's pronunciation. He was saying, that's my plate, and I was saying it's plate actually. And my mom, she would have captured it on video if such things had been possible back then, but she still tells this story, and so I guess I was doomed to be a linguist from a very early age.
Yes. And where were you?
No, that was in Boulder.
In Boulder, Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
And were you first born?
I was and still am. Yep. Then we moved to Kansas for a few years, and then I grew up. High school was in Arizona.
Okay.
And I went back to California, which is actually where I was born. We moved very quickly after that.
Okay.
I went back for university.
And what was your family up to? Did your Was your dad a professor or something
Yes,
like that? Okay.
he alternated
Good
between,
guess.
he was teaching in universities and then working in churches.
Interesting. Okay.
So he would sort of alternate back and forth
Like
between
ministry and was he like a pastor at church?
Yeah, he's a piano player
Oh,
and a musician,
so kind of a worship pastor
a
of sorts.
choir director, a
Wow.
composer, arranger.
Oh, wow.
So he would do that at the universities, and then he would do that at the churches.
It seems like I'm neither a songwriter or music. I can sing a little bit, but the connection between like language and piano music and like even mathematics, it all seems so interesting if one could really peel that orange properly. And I haven't really delved in. I could describe myself as like an inch deep and a mile wide. I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I have to think that was an influence on your path as well.
Yeah, I've given a lot of thought to this because Chinese is a notoriously difficult language because of something called the tones. So if you say the same word, but you say it when you're angry, you actually said a different word now. So
I see.
I've coached lots of people on their Mandarin over the years, and the musicians pick it up faster.
Yeah.
That's just a trend, but I don't have an explanation for it.
Yeah, that's kind of my sense. It feels like that's... Woodworkers are special people too. I don't know
Right.
like quite what makes them tick, but they're always a little more kind and interesting and introspective than everybody else.
Yeah.
So tell me about that Albert. Were you in a great student? Were you in football? What were kind of your main things in that middle school, high school kind of season?
Well, one of the greatest gifts my dad gave his 4 children was we all learned piano.
Oh.
And so we all had this sort of very solid musical foundation.
Wow.
I then took that and went almost as far the opposite direction in high school and played in the drum line.
Okay.
So it's, not pitched because it's just banging things really loud and really cool.
Yeah.
So I was in the drum line, high school drum line, marching band. I was in the drama club,
Okay.
the improv comedy.
Oh, fun.
And
Not surprising,
musical
actually.
theater.
Yeah.
And things like that. So that was high school and a little bit of college too. We had a traveling rock band
Fun.
in college.
And were you guitar? Were you drummer still?
We each of us played at least 2 instruments. So
Okay.
I was mostly on the piano, keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would go to drums if necessary for whatever crazy thing we were up to.
Dig it. And where were you? Like, where did you go to college?
I was in Fullerton, California, which
Okay.
nobody's ever heard of, so I just say it's a suburb of Disneyland.
Nice. My mother grew up around Anaheim.
Oh, yeah.
Glendale.
Glendale?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right next to Anaheim.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very cool. And so studious as well? Were you, or was kind of the music and the fun, the play more your style?
I sort of grew into being a student.
Okay.
I really, the thing I hated most in high school was foreign language. It's so ironic now.
Yeah.
And learning about other cultures, I was just so bored with that. I don't know why. It was not drumline, maybe.
Right.
So, I ended up majoring in English literature, and that really was different. I hated English and writing and reading when I was in high school. So
a couple of podcasts ago, Kelly Sage and I found like 15 things where we were like the same on.
Okay.
And I'm kind of the same. Like my seventh and eighth grade English teacher was hated by all, and including me. And like the foundations that she built in me during those couple of years have turned me into a grammar Nazi today.
Okay.
And I love writing, and I do it for fun every month, and one of those things where you're just like, huh.
Yeah. What did you hate about her?
I don't think I did.
Oh.
I think the kids all hated her. And so I went along for the ride,
Okay.
and, she pushed kids to read and explain their thoughts better and stuff like that. That's what they hated about her. I thought it was probably interesting, but I couldn't be the only kid that liked her.
Wasn't cool
That
to
was
like.
too dangerous
Right.
for me.
Yeah, it wasn't cool.
Anyway, I digress. But you fell in love also with literature
I also had some really good literature teachers in my final years of high school.
Okay.
And really,
Spark to spark.
yeah, and I think I've always been, my learning is very person based. So and maybe everybody's like this, but I feel very much like this. If I like the person and I'm intrigued by the person, and if they're a little quirky, then I'm going to pay more attention and be very interested.
Yeah.
And to the extreme extent that when I was in college, I actually had 2 sets of notes, just crazy things that my professor said that maybe weren't even attached to the subject matter, and then like the stuff you need for the test.
Right. I had an economics professor that, in describing like marginal revenue considerations for a keg party, really kind of flipped me from kind of not understanding economics through the first 2 years to like, oh, I kind of get it now.
Yeah.
And the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and he was kind of quirky. I mean,
Stories.
He's got a keg party as part of his class.
Right.
So that's quirky.
Right, exactly. That's
great.
And I think that's when you say it's people and it's quirky, but it's also the quirky people and it's the quirky stories, because you remember those stories.
Yeah.
And so that's how those lessons get learned. And I'm thinking ahead a bit to your current work, but I'm imagining even in doing what you do, there's a lot of story-based elements to it.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a core way I think about the world. I think we relate to each other through stories very easily.
Yep.
And you can even notice it if you're at a conference or if you're listening to somebody speak and they're going on and on about their idea, which is very important to them. They maybe even have a big graph about it on the screen.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you hear the phrase, the other day, like everything changes in the room. People sit up straighter, they put their phones down, or if somebody says, there's this one time, then you can totally feel the shift.
Yeah.
Even now on the show, it's like, was he actually going to tell a story just then?
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. I've never really thought it through because I MC events and stuff occasionally, and there's ways to get the crowd's attention, and there's ways to definitely not get the crowd's attention at times. And it's probably one of the more effective ways is to start telling a story.
Yeah, and
nobody wants to miss out. The fear of missing out is a big element of people.
It's a big element of people, but I think we're just wired to remember. We have, it seems to me, an almost infinite capacity to experience and remember stories. And so, the next time you're emceeing, I wonder if you can squeeze in I mean, it doesn't even have to be, if you're telling people where the emergency exits are, you could just say, there's this one time we had an event and this
and
guy
I forgot to say what
and this guy didn't know where the emergency exits were, and it turned out he was fine, but I don't want you guys to run that risk. It's like not even a story, but everybody's totally on the edge of their seat.
That's the funniest nod story ever, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like he was confused for 30 seconds and then it really didn't matter.
Yeah, there was this one time there was this guy walking down the street doing something, I don't remember what, but the emergency exits are over there.
Right.
It should probably connect, but there is a...
I love that. I could get a little more quirky in my delivery, I think, if I add some of those elements to it.
Yeah.
So, like college graduation is coming if I want to move back to the timeline.
Okay.
Are you still in California?
Yep.
Still doing music? By the way, you've got great piano hands.
Oh, thank you.
Your fingers have got kind of that the mass on the end, so you can really get a little boing, boing, boing. Years of training, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, got back to the journey.
So I did one semester overseas at Oxford in the middle.
Oh.
And it was really my first time living overseas. It was a
first international experience, really.
Yeah, it was a crazy international. I mean, I'd been to Europe for a quick tour. I'd been to Mexico loads of times, living in Arizona.
Sure.
But then to actually go and live for half a year in the UK was really crazy. And I came back, and then I graduated from college, and that was harder than moving to China, actually.
Finishing college,
Oxford.
Or coming back from Oxford, or doing Oxford.
Living in the UK was harder than living in China.
Like more culture shock?
Yeah.
Really?
because I was unprepared for it. I had this sort of false sense of security, like, well,
Just like college.
we all speak English.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be in college.
Yeah.
There was so much that was different. And,
Tell me more. Like,
well, Oxford by itself is a crazy place.
Right.
It's very intense, very high academic standards.
Harvard-y kind of, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, but there's a lot of one-on-one classes. You don't sit in a big lecture hall at Oxford. I still remember I would go in every week to my professor's office, and it was just him and me, and I was doing English literature, so we had picked together some things that I was going to read.
Okay.
But I had to read it every week and write like a 6-page essay about it.
Wow.
And then he would sit there like this with his eyes closed, leaning back, and he would always ask the same thing. Have you written something? And I would always say, well, yeah, that was, the assignment was to write something. Of course I did. Would you like to read it? Yes, every week. Have you written something? Would you like to read it? And I would always say yes to both. And then I would read it from top to bottom, the whole essay, and he would listen with his eyes closed. And then the minute I finished it, he would open his eyes, lean forward, and start discussing what I'd written. He remembered the whole thing, and then we discussed it and sort of debated it, and he pushed me, and he discovered that I didn't know what I was talking about.
Right.
And he assigned me some more reading, or we sort of, collaborated. And then I would do it all again the next week. That's what class was.
Wow.
That's really different than
Totally.
what I was used to.
I guess.
And the
I've
other,
always said I was an auditory learner. Like what flipped me from a crappy student that went out partying too much was dedicating to I never bought any textbooks after a season, and I always went to class. I went to every class, and I took copious notes at every class.
yeah,
And that it just kind of remembering the stories and the lessons and reviewing my notes before the tests was enough for me to mostly get Dean's List. And but I think it was because it's just coming into my ear hole. Even now, I listen to a lot more podcasts than I watch videos of things to learn with, even though I'm sure there's learning to be done with pictures. Geography by Jeff. I like that on YouTube because I can't really quite get it if I was just listening to it in my ear hole. But that's pretty fascinating. So this is what we're talking about. Probably maybe like a 5 to 10 minute thing that you would read him. Is that right?
yeah.
Something like that?
And then we'd have another 50 minutes of discussion and planning the next thing that I would do. And
then how are grades established? Was there testing?
well, no. The tutor, they're called tutors, gave you a grade. And the grades are not the normal ABC that we're used to. They have their own system. And this was the other real light bulb to me at the time was I thought that I really enjoyed learning for learning, but I was finding myself a little nervous about the grading and wondering what's coming. And so it was about halfway through the semester, I asked this professor, I actually had several professors, but he was the main one.
Yeah.
I said, how am I doing, by the way? Am I doing the right thing?
Right.
Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And he said, yes, you Americans are so into feedback, but I just don't do that. And there was a sort of long pause, and I think the time was up anyway, and I sort of said, okay. And I got up and I imagined myself backing out of the door slowly. And so I actually never knew. I got my grades later. It turns out I wasn't doing very well.
Okay.
Because I was so different. It was all very different than I was used to. And my depth, the Oxford system in particular, that maybe the UK education in general, is more into depth than breadth.
You were accustomed to doing book reports and getting A's.
I was accustomed to sort of skimming along,
right,
which was working for me, but my essays weren't very good. I didn't really understand what I was reading, and so I think it was appropriate. I probably got the grades that I deserved, but it was still very valuable.
Do you think his interaction with every student was give or take the same?
Yes, probably.
Okay. Yeah.
But he was not my only professor over there, and so I had a few. Everybody had their own style. It's very it's up to the professor.
Fascinating.
And you don't even call them professors. I'm saying that because we're recording it in America. But,
Yeah. Otherwise, no. What do they call them?
Tutors.
Counselors. Tutors.
Yeah,
You mentioned
tutors.
that. Yeah. Cool. Well, we better get back to the storyline. Otherwise, we're going to
Sure.
spend 3 hours today. You come back. You graduate.
Yep. And I went straight to China.
Why?
I had met international students from China studying in California.
And circa me, if you don't mind. What year was this?
This is 2005.
Okay.
This is when I went to China.
Yep.
And so I had already met international
So
students.
kind of leading up to the Great Recession years and stuff
Sure.
like that, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of a change in the whole global patterns.
I was
But a lot of growth in those years, a lot
Right.
of dynamics, a lot of new companies, call centers,
Exactly.
programming.
Exactly. I was shopping for a country because I was an English major. I was planning to go overseas and teach English. I knew that was a good way to sort of pay your own way.
Yep.
But where should I go? I wanted to learn a new language. I never really learned a language. And so I just settled on China because huge population. If I can learn Mandarin, I can speak to a bunch more people. China had just won the bid for the 2008 Olympics. So they were like, they were the next big.
Yeah, it was definitely rising, China rising at that time.
There's this guy I know. He has this great phrase: "China is the next China." Well, back then, China was also the next China, and so it was just an exciting place to think about, and a little scary.
I'm sure.
Back then, not very many people had gone to China. Now it seems like you can find everybody has it's usually a nephew or somebody who's gone to China.
One degree of separation, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
But back then it was fairly unusual.
Yeah.
And I remember that there was a little bit of nervousness around my decision to go.
And you're like 22 or something like that.
Yeah. Early 20s.
Yeah. And so how did you decide where to land, and what did you just get a job teaching English?
I did.
Somehow, and
I
then
did.
you moved there. Or did you move somewhere first?
No,
And
I was working at a tutoring language center right next to my college in California.
Yep, yep.
And one of the guys there, they'd all been overseas. This guy's worked in Korea, this one in Egypt, this guy worked in China. I said, China, that's where I want to go. And he said, oh, well, I still know a bunch of universities there. I could just email your resume for you. And he did, and I got 5 contracts.
Oh, wow.
No job interview. They emailed 5 different email addresses, sent me contracts. I printed them out, and I went back to Scott, and I said, Scott, I laid them on the table.
Which of these should I take?
And he's like, yeah, I've heard of this place. This place pays the best, but I don't think it's a very nice place to work. And so he sort of helped me pick. It was really, really valuable. And I just went to where Scott told me to go.
Yeah.
And that was this
There
city
was
I'd
no
never
other way
heard
to
of.
get more data than that, really.
This is a city I'd never
And
heard
was
of.
that Guangzhou, or
Nope.
is it someplace else?
It's called Nanchang.
Nangchang?
Yeah, Nanchang.
Okay.
And whenever I would, and then I'd go back and I'd tell my Chinese friends at the college, yeah, I'm going to China. Oh, where are you going? I'm going to Nanchang. They'd look at me like, you're going where? Why are you? They'd heard of it, but like, why would you go there?
Right.
I don't know what it would be like the equivalent in the U.S., but it's not L.A.,
Memphis or
New
something.
York. Yeah, or even we've heard of it's Little Rock or something. It's like, yeah, I guess you'll have a good time there, but it's not where normally people go.
Fair.
And so I went there, and that was my first year. I only stayed 1 year there.
Okay.
I moved to another city after that, and then my third city was where I am now, Guangzhou.
Oh, I see. Okay. And you worked as an English teacher for quite a while, yeah?
Yeah, I went straight into teaching university with only a bachelor's degree at that point.
And no Chinese.
And no Chinese. No, I was desperately...
So how did you, you didn't have any pocket translators back then. Like, how did you get around?
Well, I had this little blue Oxford dictionary that I called Chubby. And I had a CD called Learn in Your Car Chinese, which I was desperately listening to whenever I would drive anywhere for about 3-4 weeks before I left.
Okay.
But I basically knew the numbers. I didn't really know.
That's what I know of German still, yeah.
Right.
And Mexican, or in Spanish.
It's a great place to start.
Right.
But I basically didn't know Chinese. And so I had to learn it when I got there. And everyone was so surprised I could go without knowing Chinese. But the thing is, I was teaching English. I was hired as an English teacher in the English department with a bunch of Chinese people who spoke good English
Right.
and students who were trying to speak English. So they didn't have
Almost
any.
your job to kind of speak English, at least at work mostly.
Right. And so
Just when it comes time to go to the supermarket, you're like,
that's right. That's exactly right. And to this day, most people who go to China to work in an English environment, they don't learn Chinese.
right,
Most
because
of
they
them
probably
don't.
have an English supermarket right close to where they are or things like
Yeah,
that.
or they can get by,
right,
you
without
know,
even having to.
with the
Interesting.
basics. With the
Okay.
basics.
But you were focused on learning Chinese because that was part of your motivation
Right.
for going there.
Right. It was originally just 3 years in China, learn Chinese, then move to another country, learn another language. And so that first year, all my free time, I was just writing things in my notebook. I read probably that whole dictionary several times and memorized flashcards. Very old school. I still think that's a great way to learn a language because it's slow.
Right.
People want to do things fast, and so you can have an app that makes flashcards for you, and that's really cool. But there's something about using your hand and writing the word. I didn't learn the characters. I just wrote it out in kind of a romanized alphabet.
Yeah.
And I flip it over and write the English. And
Oh,
that
sweet.
and that would take ages. And I had like thousands of flashcards by the end.
And in Chinese is a character a word
Yeah.
sometimes? That's typically the way it is. So those strings of characters that we see when we see Chinese writing, it's like
Yeah.
word, 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 word.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Some are compound, some you need 2 characters for,
Sure.
or 3. But for the most part, every character is its own word.
Yeah, interesting.
But that was really hard, and so I skipped that.
Oh, really?
I just learned to speak and listen,
Oh.
not to write the
So
characters.
auditory more for you too.
Right, and that really accelerated my learning. And then later, much later, when we'll get to it in the story, when I was managing a company of all Chinese people,
Yeah.
that's when I really learned their reading and writing.
So let's go to that transition. Circle me again as far as a timeline. And are you a single guy during most of this
Yeah.
journey? And I met your wife for lunch as well. So how long have you been together?
Yeah, we've been married about 8 years.
Okay.
And so for my first 10 years in China, I was single doing the university teaching thing.
And what's the dating life like as a single man living in China for 10 years? Like, were there other Americans around Guangzhou and stuff, or hardly at all? And you had to.
Yeah. There's I didn't do much dating, but
Yeah.
that was just my choice.
Wasn't your focus. You were
Right.
learning Chinese.
I was learning and
whatever else.
working and,
Yeah.
and writing books and playing tennis and
Right.
doing all
Or
kinds
I
of
guess
stuff.
what's the social scene? I guess is probably more of the better question.
So Guangzhou is the 3rd largest city
okay.
in China. So you've
Okay.
got Shanghai number
Literally like 10 million people or something.
yeah, or even more.
12,
it's
15,
like
whatever.
like 3 states of Colorado
Right.
in that
Right.
one city.
Yeah, 40 square miles.
Yes. So you got Shanghai is the most cosmopolitan, biggest city, very exciting. If you want to map it onto a U.S. city, it'd be like New York.
Okay.
It's sort of a finance business center.
Yep.
Then number 2 is Beijing. We're going just by size.
Sure.
Beijing is, if you want to map it, that'd be like Washington, D.C. That's the
It's the
political
headquarters.
the
Yeah.
political capital. Also
The
very
real estate's the highest prices.
Could
The salaries
be.
are the highest.
could be. Also very big, very very cool.
The dirty laundry is the dirtiest.
Could be.
Anyway,
It's
but-
very cool.
yeah.
And that's where
That's what I think of the most
yeah,
often.
Beijing's got the Forbidden City. It's got the Great Wall very close by, just outside.
Yep.
Shanghai's there on the ocean. And then you've got this 3rd city that doesn't get much press called Guangzhou.
Yeah.
And it's down in the south. And so it's tropical
Okay.
climate.
Is it kind of the portal to like the South China Sea
Yep.
and the Indonesia region and stuff?
Yep.
That's why it's big, partly?
Yes. And a lot of manufacturing down
Yeah.
there. And
Because you got to bring
shipping.
those resources in
Yep.
from other places. You know, China's got some resources.
Oh, yeah.
But they also have to, for most of the things that they build, they have to bring other stuff in as well.
Yeah. And that's sort of laid back. People are walking around in flip flops.
Oh, really?
And yeah,
So it's
going
like
to
island life.
a little
Yes.
bit. Yeah. Or maybe California vibe.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And so I felt most comfortable there.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's just a little bit slower paced, a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, even a little bit like the Fort Collins vibe is a little more chill than Denver, for example.
exactly. So there are quite a few foreign companies in all three of those places, but Guangzhou they might have their headquarters in Shanghai, but they have a Guangzhou office.
Sure. Okay.
So there's a vibrant expat community, as they say. And yeah, Guangzhou's cool. But anybody who lives in Shanghai will say Guangzhou's not cool.
Right. You mentioned tennis, which also means you might have some game on the ping pong table. Is that true?
I did
Back in the day.
play a little bit of ping pong in my early years in China because it was a cool thing to do with the students and could just practice more Chinese.
Way of engaging, right?
Yeah.
But you haven't played it. You're a little rusty.
Well, yeah, and by Chinese standards, I was never anything.
Right. Well, I'm sure by Chinese standards, I'm terrible.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this transition. You're a teacher for most of 10 years. Is that what you said?
So 10 years teaching at universities, and then sort of transitioning into kind of against my will into management.
Okay.
And so
describe.
Well, at the last teaching job, a place called Peizheng College, there outside of Guangzhou. It's kind of the middle of nowhere. It's outside the city limits.
Okay.
Beautiful. I describe it like a resort campus.
Interesting.
80 foreign teachers, 80 expat teachers.
Oh, wow.
Which is a very high number, especially for living out in the middle of nowhere. And they did a very smart thing.
Like a learning resort.
It was a learning
with a cultural infusion.
Right. And so...
Because it's not all American expats either, probably. It's Brits and French and whatever.
All sorts. But they're all teaching English.
Oh.
Because this college had billed themselves, they'd sort of marketed themselves as no matter what you major in, you're going to have an English, a native speaking English teacher. So you're going to get, it's kind of like having a double major, basically.
Yeah. So less French teachers, but all English natives, right, teaching these kids the best English they can.
Right. And so you basically end up with a double major. You'll have whatever you choose, computer science, or there's a law department even. But you're going to have a whole lot of English classes, speaking classes.
Yeah.
With
so if you're an engineer,
right.
You can not only just, be a really good engineer, you can also talk to the people that need really good engineers.
Right. And so and
therefore triple your income potential.
So that was how that was their market position.
Yeah.
And so they just needed a huge number of teachers because every student had a class with an English teacher, a speaking class. And so they did a really smart thing is they said, we have so many foreign teachers, we can actually have some of them be directors. So there was 3 directors. I was on the directors team managing these 60 to 80 foreign teachers, which it's like herding cats.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And so I was doing that, and the reason that I was, I think one of the big reasons I was successful at that was my Mandarin was already at such a high level, I could interface with any department at the university, and everybody loved talking to me about how, what a headache these foreign teachers are or whatever. And
you're like the only one that can really speak Mandarin.
Right. I wasn't the only one, but I was the only one in that director's team.
Yeah.
And so I would go and sort things out and sort of smooth things over, and everybody thought that was great. So by my 10th year, I sort of got headhunted by a friend of mine who owned his own business, his own retail business.
Okay.
Right there in Guangzhou. We had met at church, and he was looking for a new spin on the business, basically.
Okay.
And
retail of what? What's retail in?
Well, they had a very interesting company called Healthy Household, and in the early 90s, so this is going way back before I was there, they were printing and shipping catalogs all over China and saying, do you want anything in this catalog? And people were riveted. They were turning pages and they were seeing things they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
They were seeing Tupperware.
Yeah.
They were seeing Swiss Army knives, like the actual...
Like the old Sears catalogs were for us as kids, kind of. Like
exactly.
They got remote control cars in there.
Exactly. And do you remember how riveted we were? Like
when the new one came out, it was like...
Give me that.
Yes. You got to share.
We would read every page over and over, right?
Even looking at like furniture and stuff. You're like, we don't need any of that, but we'll get to the good stuff again here soon.
Yeah. And that's how I experienced Legos. as a kid was Lego catalogs would get mailed to my house because somehow we were on their mailing list.
Right.
And so their business was that, but for cool stuff for your house.
Yeah.
And in the early 90s, that's the way.
Well, in China in the early 90s through the 90s, really, there was this huge migration of farmers really becoming factory workers and stuff, right? And having discretionary income for the first time in their lives.
That's right. And
They didn't have any stuff before.
that's right.
Now I can get some stuff, and it's Tupperware, baby. It's American, or whatever.
Exactly. And so the standard of living is rising, and this company, Healthy Household, said, well, don't you think you should treat yourself to some cool stuff?
Okay.
And so this American couple, started this company, and it was huge. It was hugely successful, and the paper catalogs, and they had their own call center and everything. And so then, fast forward to my story, where it's now the 2000s, and the internet has been invented, and e-commerce has been invented.
And they've been like, it's probably a fad.
They need to pivot,
Right.
basically.
Right.
They need to
The
pivot.
paper catalogs thing isn't going to work anymore.
It's not. And so so I got, I got brought in for this because he knew me, he trusted me, and I spoke.
Like
Mandarin.
you were the one that had to lead this change?
Yeah.
Or be part of a team? Or
Yeah. So I
they
came
knew
in.
they wanted to make the change, and you were the one that could communicate better in some ways.
Yeah, I was the one. I was going to be the general manager for this
This venture.
with this venture. Yeah, and they already had a very good general manager who was very good at the old style of doing the business.
Wow.
And so they brought me in and said, we want to reinvent.
We're gonna build this new
Yeah,
dock to hitch our boat to, because
Yeah.
this other one is not going to be here for long.
yeah.
Wow.
And I was
What an opportunity.
It was a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, the timing and everything and like that.
Yeah. And so I went, and we worked on it together, and it was tricky. It was hard.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it was. Was it lucrative? Like, did it pay more than being a teacher at that time, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a big opportunity to really kind of change your impact in some ways, and income profile as well, but also just the complexity. Like you were teaching words and concept, but you weren't even really using your English literature because you can't go that deep.
Right.
Your professor at Oxford would have been embarrassed by how shallow you stayed with your English after that first 10 years.
I'm sure he was embarrassed no matter what I would do, but I think the real appeal of it was the chance to do something really different that I knew would push me into the deep end, and I'd have to just learn a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And so that was the learning really attracted me.
Had you attracted a mentor or anything like that? Or where did you, like when you didn't know what to do next as you're trying to make this transformation of this business, what did you lean into, or what did you resource yourself with? The internet's kind of doing stuff by now or whatever.
Right. So the owner of the company was my main mentor. But this was the big light bulb years later when I finally transitioned out of this job, was I was missing that outside perspective. I was missing there's a phrase in Chinese, people outside the field can see clearly, like off the playing field.
We call it industry think at Loco Think Tank. Like if you're a plumbing company, you pretty much think like all the other plumbing companies, but maybe it would actually be good to be in a room with a manufacturer.
Yeah.
Or a pizza shop or a maid service agency.
Yeah, that cross-pollination, that outside perspective. My mentor, the owner of the company, Paul Condrell, dear friend, even
Shout
to
out to
this
Paul.
day. Yeah, shout out to Paul, dear friend, even to this day. He gave me a once-in-a-lifetime chance.
Cool.
The problem Paul and I ran into together was we were both so steeped in the company. We were both in the weeds, sort of. We didn't have what I later became, which is an executive coach outside the company.
You brute strengthed it, and you were successful, it sounds like.
Yeah, we made it work.
Painfully and slowly.
A funny thing is that they had this amazing resource that was being underused, which was their land. They were on this beautiful garden property with a zip line and
Oh, dang.
yeah, and like a barbecue pit, and it was an event
Right.
center
Oh, wow.
that they had built,
Right.
where the company was. But it was just very occasionally there'd be a wedding.
Right.
The church
and
might
you're like, you don't even have a gift shop here? You got all the
Right.
coolest shit.
Right.
Like, put it in there.
right. The church would use it on a Sunday, sometimes.
Yeah. Interesting.
But Paul actually had the idea. Said we should turn this into a school.
Oh.
And so halfway through my, I'm hands, up to my elbows in the real estate transformation, he goes, "What do you think about using all this?" And immediately I could see the sense in that because we were paying rent on it, and
Sure.
and we might as well
At
use
least
it.
make it a functional asset.
And so I printed new business cards for myself that said principal, and I became the founding principal of a preschool.
Curveball.
Total curveball. I stayed the general manager. I had two business cards. I stayed the general manager of
Right.
the retail business.
Right. Which was still developing, I guess, its online presence and
It was still
transitioning.
Yeah, I was still struggling along with that. But then it became obvious that, wow, if I were to focus all my energy on the school, and we were marketing ourselves as sort of a higher end school in that area.
Yeah, like teach your Chinese kids English early kind of thing.
English immersion environment,
Yep.
and then hello, look at our forest and our amazing grounds here, and the parents' jaws would drop.
Right.
They said, "Has this always been here?"
It's
Because
like
it's walled in.
Upper middle class or even a little above that
Yeah.
on the average kind of thing.
Yeah. So basically, just hired a whole new team.
Wow.
And started a
Pivot.
school. Yeah, total pivot.
Wow.
And
Sounds like it was successful though.
yeah, it was more successful than the retail
Yeah,
business. And so that was a really fun. I ended up sort of passing that, handing off the retail arm
Sure.
to somebody else
Sure.
because I needed to focus on running the school. We
Yeah.
went from we had 12 kids at our startup,
Okay.
which was only about 5 weeks after we had the team in place.
Wow.
So we were not, the classrooms were not renovated, but we had people
Yeah,
who
that's
were
what you
walking
need.
distance.
Okay.
And walking distance is a huge thing.
Oh, and that was part of because the people that lived in walking distance had also nice estates outside of the city and stuff like that, kind of.
We're sort of in the city,
Okay.
but right next to a huge housing high-rise complex,
Gotcha.
apartments of just thousands of people.
Wow.
And they were already going to take their kids to some school.
Right.
And this was right when that one-child policy was loosening. So we're seeing families with 2, maybe 3 children,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe there's not going to be enough seats for them at the school. And so a bunch of schools were popping up back then.
Oh, interesting.
And so it was very good timing for us. And so we started with 12 students very, very quickly. And we had a great team, the founding teachers, the directors team, we called it.
Yeah.
And then by year 2, we had 120 students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it was sometimes used as a church and stuff, this event center.
Right.
It wasn't a faith-oriented school at all. Was
No.
it English only? Okay.
Yeah, you can't really do that in China.
Yeah.
You can't really have a faith-based school.
That's kind of what I had perceived, but
If you do, you have to keep it real underground,
Right.
real unadvertised. And our school is the opposite.
right.
We were
You're
advertising.
like, bring your kids, bring them here.
We're huge. Yeah, we're easy to find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. How many years did you serve in that school leadership then?
Yeah, that's a good question. I should write this down at some point. It was 5 years total in that whole
Okay.
business environment.
Yep.
I think we did three or 4 years, and then COVID hit.
Oh,
And when COVID hit, it became obvious that this is the right time to sell the business because that
like it was still worth
yeah.
good money or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And okay,
And so I was real tired after doing all this.
yeah,
And so I was ready for a little break. So 2020, I stepped down. The new owner was going to have new management and everything. So it was a good transition year. And
Yep.
it was the very beginning of COVID. It was looking like China took a very structured, as is typical China, very structured approach to
Yep.
COVID,
Yep.
rules and systems, and one of the rules was schools can't open.
Wow.
And so that's a real struggle. So my wife was teaching university at the time, so she was teaching online. That's kind of okay for university.
Right.
But for 5-year-olds,
Yeah.
that's not okay. That's not going to work. You can't really teach them online.
So did the people that bought the school face that consequence then, or did you sell? Like, how did that shake down?
yeah, I actually wasn't part of the negotiation or the selling
I guess not,
discussion,
yeah.
but they worked it all out somehow. And
Is the school come back online?
it's still there.
Since?
Yep.
Okay.
School's still there. We're on great friends with
It
the
was
new owner.
Good.
And we go back to visit all the time.
Gotcha.
And so it's a sort of
Sure,
a
it was a
happy
bit
ending.
of a choppy transition of sorts,
It was
I'm
choppy.
sure.
Yeah.
And then are you just kind of cut loose? Did you
Basically,
take a sabbatical and figure out what the heck kind of crazy thing I'm going to do next?
sabbatical is a great word for it. I needed a couple of months to just sort of decompress and figure out
And
what
had
I
you
want to do.
fallen in love by this time?
Yep, we were already married. We
Okay.
were already married.
All right.
A couple, 3 years by then, and
So during this whole season of retail store becomes preschool, enters COVID, you're...
I also welcomed my dear wife Eva to the
Hi, Eva. You'll probably listen to this.
to the story, and she joined me there, and she was a great support through the whole thing.
I'm sure.
I think I would have been even more successful if I'd gotten married earlier, but I didn't. I didn't come to my senses in time.
You know, there's a reason that there aren't that many, lifetime bachelors that are really successful, because I think it really does take a pair to really make a complete either person in some ways.
I think there's something to that. I was one of the happiest bachelors I ever met.
Yeah, very content, sounds like.
Very content, very happy being single, and having all my energy to focus on my little things.
I was actually a bachelor until I was 25-ish or 26-ish. I liked it.
Yeah.
Better being a bachelor than being with a crazy woman, and
Sure.
they're not that easy to find. The not crazy women. Right,
Well,
Jill?
congratulations to both of
Hi,
us.
Eva. So anyway, so give me to that sabbatical.
The sabbatical was a few months at the very beginning of COVID, and then I started getting calls from people that knew me, other business owners or senior leaders, and said, "We hear you're not doing anything. Would you come work
Yeah.
with our team?"
Okay.
And I thought, well, sure, I'll come and why not? I'll come and have a look. And very quickly I realized, this is actually a job.
Right.
It hadn't
People
occurred,
do this.
It hadn't occurred to me.
Way different than a teacher.
Right. And really very rewarding, because this is a felt need. And I remember.
I bet you're a systems thinker too, right?
So yeah, somewhat.
One of your natural talents is probably thinking through the whole complexity of an organization, like almost from soup to nuts.
Sure. The thing I realized quickly was I could do that, but it would take time. And if I could coach the leaders who are already in the position, who already know all that, if I could coach them, that's way more efficient.
Right.
And faster for them.
So you're really focused on their leadership and talent.
Exactly.
And their habits, their techniques,
That's
their
right.
perceptions, how they uptake information from their teams.
That's right. Exactly. All that stuff. Because I will never know as much about their business as they do.
For sure.
Even if I had a lot of time. And so, and that's the big...
Oh, that's cool.
That's the big switch from university to business. In university, nobody's really concerned about time.
Right.
You're on a semester system. These students are most likely going to graduate when they get to the end of the assembly line.
Yeah.
But in business, everything's about time.
Yeah.
How fast can we turn this thing around?
Right.
Or make a change?
Right.
Or learn something about whether this product's going to work or not?
Right.
And that was really exciting to me. And I thought, well, I don't think I can go back. I did go back. I ended up teaching some more classes at some universities on the side later. But the business environment is much more energizing.
I've never really thought about it quite that way, of the leverage on time. Like, I've engaged with different consultants and stuff, and a lot of times they're like, okay, we got to do all this research, and it's going to take all this and this and and it's like, well, yeah, because you couldn't possibly know that much about the business until you do a bunch of research, right?
Of course.
But if you can just change that behavior, you might spend 10 hours with somebody
Yeah.
in a one-on-one environment and really, 6 months later, see real effective change
Right.
In that person.
That's right. And we always, because our focus is adaptivity, we always crank the time knob to 11. And,
Right.
and we see like genuine shock on
Yeah,
people's faces. Okay, so this thing that you're working, let's just pick a classic example. Maybe some leader says, I know I need to delegate more, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm not doing it.
Right.
Say, okay, we need we're going to design some experiments for you to help you, basically to help you feel more relaxed about delegating. But don't go and delegate a bunch of stuff because you have good reason why you don't want to do that. You've been burned before. This project's too important. There's all kinds of reasons. So the goal is not to force yourself into doing something that you've been avoiding.
Yeah.
The goal is to get new information. And so we design these little experiments. We call them adaptive experiments.
Yeah.
And we say, try to run these 3 experiments by Tuesday. And they go, Tuesday, like that's only a few days away. Yeah, because then by Tuesday, you're going to have new information and we can design some new experiments.
Yeah.
And like, well, what if I can't get to it till next week? That's the latest. And it's such a small experiment.
Yeah.
It's something like this, a hypothetical. If I were to ask you to do this, what would you do first? You haven't delegated anything.
Right.
But you've got new information from somebody that you think might do a good job. They say, oh, if you asked me to do that, I would do X, Y, and Z. And that's very safe. You haven't forced yourself to delegate, but you've learned something that might actually not be so bad.
Yeah. That's so interesting. You're basically kind of walking them toward a feeling of the joy of delegation and the effectiveness of it.
That's a wonderful way to put that.
Thank you.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, but you got to persuade them. Let them persuade themselves, even. Right?
Definitely let them persuade
They have
themselves.
to be the deciders.
They have to.
Especially business leaders.
Yes.
Like they don't accept being told things. Oftentimes, even not by coaches and stuff, which is the style of coaching you're describing is really setting the stage and letting them be the deciders of what works good.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I think
but if you tell them to do it, then it's harder. If you know.
But I don't exactly know. That's the interesting thing because it's so personal.
Right.
And so whatever, if you want to get better at your email management, for example,
Right.
I don't know all that's good.
Why I avoid it.
That's a big ball of
necessarily.
wax.
Right.
And so you need to pick, we're not really suggesting you do this, but if you were to do it,
Yeah.
you would have to pick a small enough experiment that you're actually kind of interested to try it. And that's a very good sign.
I don't know if you've ever listened to a podcast with the NVIDIA guy. I forget his name.
Jensen?
Huang. Yeah, Jensen Huang. And he was describing his work habits and stuff, and he's a driven maniac that thinks that the competition is going to put him out of business at any time,
Right.
virtually. And he does 4 hours of email every morning.
Wow.
Right? I'm like, dude, I don't even want your job. Like, but apparently it's that important. Like, if Jensen Huang can spend 4 hours of his every day doing email management, Kurt Bear can spend 2, probably,
Or 10 minutes.
or at least an hour. Yeah, whatever, exactly. But it shaped. It was a piece of data that I put into my brain and said, hey, you should probably put this into your feelings more. On that, because if Jensen Huang is going to do it, like you could spend some time on your email.
So did that help you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, move me a little closer.
A little nudge.
a little nudge.
Yeah.
So you do accelerated nudging. Sounds like with
Right.
your firm.
Right. Accelerated nudging and very gentle.
Accelerated gentle nudging.
That's
You
right.
could trademark that if you like.
Maybe we should change our company name.
Accelerated gentle nudging. I'm not sure. You should probably brand test that before you make a big change.
It sounds like there might be some issues with it. I can already predict.
So I remember from our lunch conversation that you were like an independent coach consultant guy for a while before you joined the team.
That's right. Just working around town in Guangzhou there, or over Zoom with people I knew in the United States. But then, I was invited to join Adaptive Leaders. We often get asked, how do you get into this company? Invitation is how you get in. And I was delighted and greatly honored to be invited.
Yeah.
And it has made all the difference. For those of you solopreneurs listening, if there's any way you can get a team going, even if it's a think tank, even if it's a peer group, the team has made a total difference.
I always tell people that, especially in our smaller groups, and there's certain businesses that just don't make sense to build a team, I guess, or whatever, but it's so hard to add really good customer value as a one-person band. If you're a financial planner, you can only be so smart. And I know they have back offices and portfolio managers and all this kind of stuff, but it's still hard to be a really multifaceted service business, whether it's professional services or what you're doing, executive coaching. If you don't have a few different kinds of thinkers in the room, the product isn't, then it's just one guy's smartest thoughts all the time, or gal.
Obviously, there's people who make it work.
Sure.
And so this is the message for those solopreneurs who are looking for what's the next step. And of course, they've thought of a team would be great. You have to choose your team really carefully. You have to have very high trust, very similar ethics, ethical boundaries, and also a similar view of people, really. If you collaborate with someone if you see people as infinitely valuable and highly creative and a little bit messy, and that's great, but you collaborate with somebody who's really annoyed by
anybody that's messy at all,
then it could be there's some complementary stuff there, but you have to have a sort of a general shared view of humanity, I think.
I think that's true.
And so I was very privileged to get invited to join Adaptive Leaders. I felt like I moved into the passing lane, the HOV lane at that point, which, you have
it was
more
a lonely place to bang around, and you had, it sounds like a network. You didn't have to like put ads in the paper and stuff to get more clients much. You kind of like you had people calling on you.
Well, I think
it's still a lonely job from job to job, and
just to encourage those entrepreneurs listening, it wasn't quite as glamorous as you make it sound. That my consulting coaching work was a small part of my work. I was still doing a few university teaching classes on the side. So yes, I did have.
So you were cobbling together, kind of.
I was very relaxed because I had a stable income while I was exploring this new business.
Wow.
But there's a really interesting thing. I have a friend in Guangzhou he's a Canadian who's an actor. And he said that when he first transitioned into acting, he had this great mentor and said, it's going to take you 5 years to be really established in this industry. And he did a similar thing. He started out with a few acting jobs, but a stable job on the side. And about year 5, he said, it was just incredible, not to the day, but very close. He was then a full-time actor.
Yeah.
And I also had a 5-year period.
Wow.
It was 5 years.
Interesting.
And so just to make it, full disclosure.
Patient.
Yes.
We use a phrase around here called perseverance.
Okay, yes.
And Loco Think Tank was very similar. Actually, I would say, because it was very much a side hustle while I tried to get a restaurant, ran a food trailer operation for 2 years, and then I was a financial advisor type person with Thrivent Financial for 2 more years, and a little change with Loco on the side. And then finally, but I paid myself $2,000 a month salary when I first went full time. So it wasn't like it, if I had 2 kids, it would have been a different story.
Right.
Or even just a wife that didn't make more money than me.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good time for us to take a break in the action.
Okay.
And we'll come back with a fresh cocktail for me. Thank you, Seed and Spirit Distilling. And a fresh bathroom break for you, perhaps.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to thank the bathroom sponsor.
Yes, that is. No, we don't have one yet.
Okay.
But if you'd like to be a bathroom sponsor for the Loco Experience podcast,
This episode is sponsored by Loco Think Tank. Loco Think Tank provides peer collaboration for business owners. We build smart, safe places to help business leaders navigate every stage of the business journey, and we love what we do and who we do it with. Our model features give-back-minded business veterans in the role of Loco facilitators, and we're always looking for abundance-minded individuals to add to our membership, facilitator team, Loco community, or to feature on this podcast. Listeners of this podcast who go on to become members of Loco Think Tank get their 6th month of membership for free. Just mention the Loco Experience podcast on your application. To learn more, visit our website at locothinktank.com. That's LOCO thinktank.com.
So I wanted to show off your book to our listeners, Performance Leadership. Do you know off the back of your hand the 4 keys to extraordinary results?
Oh, wow, great. A quiz on my own book. I love it.
I like it.
Yes, we...
I assume you wrote something?
Yes. Would you like to
read it to me?
Yes, let me just read this book to you. My Oxford professor would be proud. This was a great story, how we wrote this book. This is a team effort. And so I've co-authored a few other books, but this was the most intense process by far. This is all with the adaptive leaders, coaches.
Okay.
I think every coach has their fingerprints
contributor.
On the book somewhere. But the idea is performance management is out there as a sort of system of, it's a lot of data. And we're talking about performance leadership, which is very people-focused. And so the 4 keys to...
Yeah, the numbers really just say what the people did, right? Whether it's finances
They do. And in the best case scenario, they're very helpful. And in a lot of scenarios, people are just kind of fudging them or trying
they create unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm making a bunch of phone calls and having a lot of meetings with people, but it's actually all my old friends that I've already met with before.
That's the worst of the worst case scenario.
Right.
Exactly. So the performance leadership book is really about the human side of performance. And so the 4 keys are what we call Emma. If you want... And one of my favorite analogies is if you want your team to perform better, you're basically like an orchestra conductor. You're the only guy not making a sound. And so many people who watch symphonies have the question like, do we need that guy?
Right.
Like, aren't these top musicians? Couldn't they play without him? They could probably play without him, but it would be real different. And here's the key. They would not outdo themselves. The best orchestra conductors get the musicians playing at a level that surprises even them.
Yeah.
And so in order to do that with your team, you need Emma. You need expectations, motivation, measurements, and accountability in that order. And it's a sort of a cycle. And
I've failed to set expectations before, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we can all think about when we were leading teams or even when we were on a team and it wasn't working.
Right.
There was probably the expectations were probably not clear enough. The leader probably didn't know what was actually motivating the team, the person. They might not have been measuring the right stuff.
Sure.
Or anything. And even if they were doing all 3 of those things, maybe they weren't really holding people accountable to their commitments. If you can do all 4 of those things, or if you can analyze which of these 4 things needs more attention,
where it's broken,
then the performance of your team's going to improve. Like very quickly. And so this book is a compilation, a condensation of all of that work that used to be. It's sort of like, you remember when Pirates of the Caribbean was just a ride at Disneyland?
Yeah.
And then they made a movie of it.
Right, and then another movie.
And then, right. Well, this used to just be a workshop or a training program.
Okay.
And now we've made a book of it.
So you got a lot of people write back and say, hey, that was super good. You should really do more.
We've over and over, we got the feedback that, that Emma thing. That Emma model.
Yeah.
That's, we really needed that. That really helped us. And we're still talking about Emma. And we thought, maybe we should maybe we should share that with more people. And so we wrote this book. I was the main guy typing the keys, but I did not come up with this at all.
The framework was there before you got to the team.
Absolutely. And
They're like, hey, new guy, why don't you write a book for us?
yeah, exactly. They're like, hey, you wrote another book before, right? Yeah.
Right. You're
And
the English literature guy on the
It's
team.
right.
You
It's
don't
actually
even have
my
a business degree, for God's sake.
Right.
Do you have a business degree? Or
No.
Did you study finance
No.
or accounting or any of that kind of stuff?
No.
Are you good at that now after some years, or is that still not really what you're focused on?
A lot better than I was,
Right.
but I'm definitely focused on the people side,
Yeah.
the leadership side.
Fair enough.
And it was my colleague JD who called me up one day. I still remember where I was standing. I was in a train station in Shenzhen, China, on my way back to Guangzhou, and he said, I think we need a book of performance leadership, and I think you need to write it. And it blew my mind. And 3 months later, it was printed.
Wow, bang.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What? And you said everybody kind of contributed to it. Was that like, hey, I set up the Google Drive. I need your stuff here. Sounds like you already had like a presentation workshop, and you probably needed the stories.
So
like they had a lot of the stories because you weren't there yet.
yeah. So it was a really crazy process. So Mike and Ray, our two senior coaches, had really developed this, and then Beth had put together a facilitator's guide, and everybody had co-created this thing, and it was still evolving, and it was in progress with clients while the book was being written. And I interviewed people. I interviewed people internally and also externally.
Yeah.
And I just wrote down everything they said and put it all together and did some of my own research, and then had a bunch of drafts out there that people were giving me feedback on, and had to synthesize all of it, and it was very, very intense.
Yeah.
And then it was over.
Well, I'm looking forward to reading past the first chapter.
Yeah.
As I told you I would soon.
Yeah.
I've actually started investing in better reading glasses so that I can read again. The last, I hate to say it, but 5-6 years, I've read less and less and less, and because I can get information from podcasts in person or through my ear hole, but books condense. It's like a distilled spirit. You know, I like bourbon partly because it's kind of it's an intense element of all the flavors that a beer would kind of have or whatever, right? And books are kind of like that too. You know, a book isn't just 15 essays strapped together, even though it's about as long as 15 essays strapped together. It has to be like 60 essays boiled down and distilled until it's the length of 15 essays, but now it's a book.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm kind of feeling a bit of a loss for lack of books in my life lately. So yours will be the next book I read.
Wow,
cover
I'm
to cover.
honored.
Well, it's short, so that's nice.
Yes.
Unless it's really bad, and then I am. My wife will never bail on a book. It doesn't matter how bad it is. I'll bail after chapter 3 if it's not pretty engaging. So,
Well, one of the things we heard about the book is it is very attainable. It's very short, and there's lots of icons.
yes,
I kind of designed it like a website, and so that's,
I'm an audio-visual guy.
I
right?
hope
we talked
you-
about
yeah.
audio learning,
Yeah.
or auto, but I still love to see icons, and
I think everybody does. I think it's
helps me put it in the right place.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoy it, and
I'm sure I will.
thanks for giving it a
Thanks
chance.
for the gift. Oh, and if you want to get it out there, can people get it like online and stuff?
Yep.
So Performance Leadership, Albert Wolfe and Mike Burns.
That's right.
So check it out. I want to ask this because it seems like you guys have a really interesting team dynamic that's, if not quite familial, at least verging on that at your firm. And so I'd like to talk about that a little bit and how that shows up. How is that communicated in the leadership team? Is it part of, the only adding people that already kind of fit that vibe? And yeah, talk to me about that culture and what they've done to foster and cultivate it.
Well, you mentioned Mike Burns. He's our founding partner, and we just lost him last year, sadly. Yeah, and he really set the tone.
Yeah.
He's just a great, very loving, very trusting, and very authentic person. So he would never hide if he was having a struggle with something. And so when your founding partner is behaving like that, it really sets the tone.
Has his absence shaken the foundation at all, or was it built pretty solid?
No, absolutely. It's rippled through the...
Is there a new leader that's emerged, kind of, or is it the team and it's still stirring a little bit, or how's that work?
Yeah, so...
And, is it 5, 6, 7 people? I don't remember quite.
Yeah, it's a pretty big team globally.
Okay.
There's a smaller leadership
X
team.
number of partners, and then there's deliverable people more and stuff, coaches, trainers.
But the culture, you're asking about the culture. So there's a smaller leadership team, and we meet fairly regularly, and we're just also very open with each other.
Yeah.
And I just want to reinforce that trust thing again. Just very high trust. I actually remember there was a kind of a rocky season I was going through, and I was wondering, do I have to start filtering what I say in those team meetings?
Like now that Mike's not here, or early on?
Not just that, not just because of that. Just I was kind of having a tough time anyway, and I remember making a conscious decision. I'm not going to filter what I'm saying. I'm not going to hide how I'm doing. I'm not going to pretend.
You can cuss on this podcast if you want to.
Right. Thank you.
God dang it. I'm not going to do it.
Yes.
Gosh darn it.
That's right.
Heck yes. We're going to do this thing.
And I remember telling another member of our team that Ray Chow is now our managing director.
Okay.
I said, I decided not to filter, and he thanked me. He said that was the right choice. And that's just an example. I'm trying to give you a snapshot of something that's hard to describe because there's this wonderful book, An Everyone Culture, by some people that we know over at Harvard University, and Robert Keegan and LaHaye. This book has a great premise, which is everybody at work is doing 2 jobs. You're doing the job you're paid for that's on your job description, and you're doing a second job, which is managing how people see you at work. And it's such a wonderful premise. And what would it be like if you really only had one job?
Yeah.
And how much energy... Some people are 50-50 split on this.
Sure.
It's a lot of work to manage how you appear.
Right.
And how people perceive you.
Right.
And I feel like our team spends very little energy
You're
on
like
that.
5%ers on that at the
right,
max.
Right, on that second job.
I think that's a Loco think tank value as well, even within our chapters, but also whoever has been part of my team at headquarters here. Got to confront the dragon. Like that dragon will only grow and get bigger and stronger and scarier the longer you let it stay in the cave. And so being able to share whatever's bothering you, if it's a team environment, if it's a criticism, a critique, got to be able to get that out there. So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
So that's
a cool thing.
But your think tank and our team enable that by having a high trust environment
and a high appreciation for different kinds of thinkers.
That's right. That's
probably crucial too.
And so without that, so I don't want any listeners to go and say, I'm gonna turn off that that engine that's managing expectations, because that's true. I don't want to
keep Emma in mind.
It might not really work because of the bigger environment that you're in. So it's really up to the leaders to model that.
Yeah.
And if they can model that and make it safe to not have to manage your appearances, then the whole team will benefit from that.
Yeah, I dig that. Thank you to Purpose Driven Wealth of Thrivent for sponsoring our Purpose Driven Questions segment. At Purpose Driven Wealth, they believe financial clarity leads to a life of contentment and purpose. Their mission is to help guide clients using a values-driven, stewardship-based approach focused on provision, contentment, and enjoyment. With more than a century of experience, Thrivent helps individuals and families navigate life and business transitions and prepare for the future while creating space to live generously and give back in meaningful ways. To learn more about Purpose-Driven Wealth, please call 970-330-7411 for a complimentary initial consultation. And now, on to the questions. I'm going to ask you a second question, if it's okay. Can you describe a business decision you've made that didn't make sense on paper at the time and the result?
Sure. There's been all kinds of those. We on paper typically, and this I meet with a guy. We have a breakfast guys club in Guangzhou, all businessmen.
Cool.
And we're talking about that
That's
question.
your think tank of sorts.
Sort
almost.
of, yeah. And we're talking about that question at every breakfast.
Okay.
And on paper, we've noticed usually means money.
Right.
And so, where are you willing to go the extra mile, or maybe the different direction where there's no financial benefit to it?
Mm-hmm.
For that group, that's what on paper usually means.
Yeah.
And so, the reason that's tricky is because for my team, our paper actually includes doing stuff like that.
Right.
We actually value doing things, either pro bono work or supporting a nonprofit.
Cool. Yeah,
or
nice.
something that actually, when it comes down to it, maybe that didn't build our business in any direction that we've said we wanted to.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so our paper looks a little different.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like any attorney that would do a pro bono or whatever, but you'll take those clients from time to time.
Yeah.
I have a similar thing, I suppose, in that my calendar link is largely open. Anybody can book a 45-minute meeting with me just about. And
I noticed that.
for years, probably 20%, 15% of my meetings are kind of booked out of the blue with somebody I don't know. And a lot of times they're a startup business that is years away from qualified for local think tank. And I love it. I'm really good at digesting all the most important things about a young business and what their market opportunity is, what their hallucinations are, if they're having any, their opportunities, and encouraging them if they're on a right path, or maybe encouraging a pivot or a shift if they're maybe not, making introductions, connections that they need to know. And it doesn't make sense on paper.
Yeah.
Occasionally, a couple years later, somebody's grown their business and they become a chapter member at local think tank. Or a while back, somebody told me that in a podcast even, actually, that I helped them register their LLC when they were getting ready to quit their job at the electric company and start their own electric company kind of thing. And now they got 60 employees or 47 or forget what. And it's so cool that I was like right there. And I just helped him.
Yeah.
He was on my path, and I did my best and tried to help him. And
It's great.
yeah, it's kind of a neat thing to be able to have that margin to be able to do.
Yeah.
So,
So your paper actually includes that stuff.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make I suppose it does. Like on paper, it's starting to. Even this podcast, I suppose, is on paper. Like on paper, there's thousands and thousands of dollars invested in this, and hundreds of hours of time spent with interesting people, but I don't really count that as that's not on the spend side on the accounting,
Yeah.
At least not the time spent,
Yeah.
Because it's a joy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I digress. I think we'll leave it there and we'll try so one of your gifts, as you saw, was the crazy ginger hot sauce.
Crazy.
Crazy ginger. You know any crazy gingers?
I don't.
Probably not. There's probably far fewer gingers in China.
Very, very few.
Do you know our local celebrity Ginger Graham?
Oh, no.
Ginger and Baker. Have you been to their coffee shop over
yeah.
there? So Ginger was recently the interim CEO of Walgreens.
Oh.
She's been on their board. She was a big turnaround Harvard MBA gal back in the day, and she makes the best pies in town.
Wow.
And she's become a friend, at least in part because of being on the podcast. But when I came up with this name, Crazy Ginger, I felt like I needed to give her a disclaimer that I was not at all thinking of her when that happened.
Any connection to real people is purely coincidence.
Which is why this is like a cartoon character.
She does not look like that.
And if she wanted to carry this in her restaurant, I would be happy. It's really good hot sauce, but she's got her own over there too. So.
Yeah.
How much hot sauce do you like? Are you kind of give me a 2 drops on a chip and I'm going to be happy?
Pretty much,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. I'm going to do that. We're gonna dip into here, and then if you haven't already thought about the that one's mine.
That's a lot.
If you haven't already thought about that one's mine. The crazy story you're going to share, that one's mine. Let's just do this.
All right.
How's that?
I'll lean over.
I'm going to reach it over to you. That one's all ripped off. Yeah, good idea. Get away from the microphone for a moment. I'll take this heavy one. It's not crazy. We're not.
It's not that crazy.
It should keep heating up a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
Which here's a napkin if you feel like you want one. Oop.
It's really good.
Thank you.
But my wife is going to love it even more. She's from a part of China that really values spicy food.
Oh, good. I really care what she thinks about me more than I care about what you think about me.
Well, you should.
As with my wife, vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, thank you.
So you have that as your homecoming. I should probably give you 2 bottles because it's so far for you to go to Matador Mexican Grill and restock.
I'll have to put it in the check bag, though, because it's over however many ounces.
Yes, it's got a sealed bottle top on it, so it'll be
Okay.
fine. I think
Okay,
it's got
great.
an ingredient list and everything like
Okay,
that. So
great.
I think you'll be all right.
Love it.
And reminding listeners to go get your own crazy ginger at Matador. Put it on your burrito. Take a bottle home. Are you ready for the local experience?
I'm ready.
The craziest experience story, perhaps, of your lifetime that you're willing to share with our listeners, and it might be a moment, a day.
All right. I'll tell you in China, there's so many. That's one of the reasons I've stayed.
You love that.
I love it. But one of the craziest things I ever did was agree to go on a scavenger hunt style challenge journey with my British friend, Adrian. And we went all over China. In 30 days, we had to do 15 challenges that our students made up for us.
Okay.
And the hardest one was appear on national TV.
Oh.
Somehow.
This sounds like Impractical Jokers or something almost style thing. I like it.
Why did we do this to ourselves?
Yes, I want to hear a few more of these challenges.
We were young and dynamic. We thought it would be fun, and it was fun, but it was a lot of work. And hanging over our head, we had these rules for the trip. We couldn't attempt more than one challenge.
Right.
And so,
okay. But also you could get deported or something, right?
well,
Like, are you a citizen now, I assume?
I'm-
Do you have legal rights to stay there?
I can stay for fairly
until
easily.
the CCP says you're out.
You can't really be a dual citizen
Okay.
with China.
Gotcha.
So hanging over our head the whole trip was appear on national TV. How in the world are we going to do that?
Right.
And so we kept asking everybody, we don't know. So let's try one of these other challenges, like work on a farm for a day. That
Right.
was really hot.
Walk on top of the Great Wall of China.
We asked the students not to give us normal challenges that normal tourists would do.
Oh, okay.
And so they did like attend a Chinese wedding, learn to make noodles in a noodle kitchen. They gave us these really cool, interesting cultural
And
challenges.
in every place you stop, you're like, anybody got any ideas about how we could get on national television?
Exactly, and nobody did. And then finally, somebody said, "Well, there's this obstacle course TV game show,
Oh.
and it's filmed in this certain city, and we're just not really close to that city, but we ended up kind of in that area. We were trying to call them, and we tried to email them. We tried to figure out, can we get on this show or not?
Right.
We literally knocked on the front door of this huge skyscraper studio building
Okay.
and said, "Can we be on your show?" And they said, "Not tomorrow because it's already booked. Come back the day after."
Okay.
That's already so crazy that they said yes.
Right.
This
they
is
didn't
like-
even have to hear the story about our students tasked us with this. He's a British dude. I assume they don't have
We told them.
like English speaking.
This is all in Mandarin. This
Right.
is all in Mandarin.
Right. So they got these skinny white dudes running around out there on their obstacle course.
We were talking to the interns. You know how studios run.
Right.
So the interns, somehow pass the word up, and the producer comes back and says, wants to meet us and says, "Yeah, okay, fine." And so the next day we went, well, we better go watch the show being filmed. So we went and we watched it. It was darn hard.
I don't want to do it anymore.
We'd seen it. We were aware of this show on TV, and
I've seen like a Japanese one that's probably pretty similar. Where
it was
people just
as a little more mild than the Japanese Takeshi's Castle or something, where it's real injuries.
Right.
But it was all this big pool of water and all this. You have to try to get through this obstacle course, and every turn. It's trying to throw you in the water.
Right.
You're trying to slip off or,
right. You got to bounce from this to that or whatever. Yeah.
And so we did it. And the night before, I couldn't sleep. I was so nervous because it's like the triple threat. One, you're going to be on TV. That's already nerve-wracking. You're going to be on national TV. Everybody we
But
knew.
you don't know any of those people.
But everybody we knew
Yeah, I guess.
knew this show.
Right.
This was a big show. Two, it's like sports. I'm not a confident athlete. I don't know how to pole vault across this pool.
Right.
And it's
My
on
long
TV.
jump isn't nearly as long as
Exactly.
it used to be. Right.
And three, there's absolutely going to be a pre-game interview in Mandarin. And what are they going to talk to? They're fast talking.
Your friend speaks Mandarin decently?
Pretty good, but it was really up to me.
Right.
And I mean, this is fast-talking TV hosts
Right.
who are quirky and, what is...
This is like J.D. Vance going on The View or something like that.
How
right?
am I
Like,
supposed to
don't
sleep?
know how to respond here. Yeah.
How am I supposed to sleep the night before this? And the only time it's ever happened to us, there's this rustling in the hotel room. And what did you hear that? Yeah. Oh, you're not sleeping either? No. We're both like on edge.
Right.
What in the world was that? And so it's a mouse. It took us forever to figure it out, but whenever we'd move, it would stop. And so
Oh, my
we're
goodness.
doing battle with a mouse at midnight before
Again at 2 a.m.
before our big TV appearance. It was crazy. And we went on the show, and it was just as crazy as it sounds. And people prepared
Did
for
you
this.
win?
We did we went individually.
Okay.
Adrian, I'm sorry to say, if you're listening, went down on the second
He fell off right away.
obstacle. Yeah. And it's in stages, so you have to get through
Yeah.
various stages. We still have the video footage of this.
Oh, I would.
We saved it.
Like to see it. Maybe
yeah.
maybe we can find a link to it and we'll put it on this podcast.
It's offline. I tried to put it on YouTube once,
Yeah.
just to share with my friends, and YouTube wouldn't publish
wouldn't
it.
do
So it's copyrighted.
Yeah, fair.
So I don't know how to distribute it. But I got past the third phase,
Oh.
which is the minimum for the lowest prize.
Oh.
You want to guess what my prize was? It's
I'm gonna
not as
say
good
so-
as the hot sauce.
I'm gonna say it's like a package of ramen noodles or some like food related prize.
Very, very close. It's a gas-powered water heater for a shower.
Oh. Oh, well, that's a lot more useful. Maybe not for you at the time.
Like
Very niche.
like a huge box.
I used one of those for my food trailer, actually. I hung it off the side of the trailer. It was
Okay.
one of those instant on.
Instant on.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Got the little battery in it.
Yeah, you can take it camping, whatever.
Well, I was living in university. You provided housing that had a shower already. I didn't need it, but they did. They sent it to me. It arrived 6 to 8 weeks later,
Just like they said.
just like they said. And the final detail I'll tell you is before going on the show, we had to sign something. And I'm thinking it's a waiver.
Sure.
I promise not to sue you if I get hurt. Nope. It's a 1-day insurance policy because we know you will get hurt.
Gosh, for real?
It was a 1-day insurance policy. We didn't use it. I did get my back kind of got a little tweaked from that.
Really?
But it was not a good.
I feel like America could actually use more 1-day insurance policies instead of waivers.
Yeah.
Get more lawyers involved and employed in this
They do
country.
exist. They do exist, a 1-day insurance policy.
Albert, you are far more interesting than many of my guests over the years. You have interesting stories. I'm sure we could go much longer, but we can't.
Nope. That's enough.
And you're back to China. You're heading off to China tomorrow.
Tomorrow. This is the last thing I'm doing.
So tell me, I guess before we close off, tell me, like, what will you miss most about northern Colorado when you're back in Guangzhou?
The beautiful nature.
Yeah.
The sky is so blue. The air is so clean, except for the wildfires, but we'll give them a pass. and this green everywhere and the beautiful lakes. I live in a metropolis.
In a city, yeah.
And so I don't get that.
How do you...
Right outside
Yeah,
the
how do you
metropolis.
touch grass? How do you build it into your room?
You can. But it's not absolutely everywhere like here. And,
Right.
And my kids have loved, like, that's a bunny, that's a deer, that's a squirrel.
Right here where we're
in our
staying.
yard.
Yes.
Yeah, they've loved all of that. That's just
highlight.
it's such a charming thing about Colorado. I miss it from living here. And
Do you want to give a shout out to your 2 kiddos
sure,
while you're here?
Sure.
I've sometimes had a 1-word description for the children. Would you like to attempt that task?
all right.
You have to boil it, distill it.
So, Chloe, if you're listening in 10 years or whenever you look this up, she's 5 now.
Yeah.
You are still, right now, my 1 word for you is athletic. Yeah, she's really
That's
into her.
Unusual for a 5-year-old to exhibit that.
She loves to practice parkour.
Oh, wow. You should probably get her into gymnastics so she can do the better flips off of the roofs on top of the trash cans.
We do need her doing better flips.
Right. If she's going to do it anyway, you might as well develop her skill set.
Yeah. So she's really into that. It's really cool to see.
And you only have the one, is that
And
right?
no, and
you have a
her
second.
her younger brother
That's what I
is
thought.
named Kaysen.
Okay.
He's 3 years old.
What's up, Kaysen, in 12 years?
That's right. And Kaysen, at this point, my word for you is passionate. He is, whenever he's really into music, he's really into everything that he's into.
Yeah.
And for
Don't
a while,
you dare take it away from him.
for a while, it was fountains, like watching a fountain.
Yeah.
And I remember in the housing complex we live in, Guangzhou, there's a bunch of fountains.
Sure.
But they all turn on at 5 p.m. It's really cool. And I remember we were outside playing one day, and the fountain turned on, which he loves, and he burst into tears. He was so happy. He ran over, gave me a big hug. He burst into tears. His passion is just overflowing for
Do you have
everything.
one in your home?
A fountain?
Yeah.
No, just outside our building,
Yeah.
no. So it's...
I have one in my backyard that I keep some goldfish and some
Yeah.
guppies in and stuff. And so we live downtown, so I've got the train sounds and traffic sounds. And the fountain erases all that.
Yeah.
And so even if it was just a small one in your unit or whatever, you might consider giving him a birthday gift of a fountain.
That's a really interesting idea. I love the sound of running water.
Yeah. It changes the way we vibrate, I think, a little bit. And I think he would find joy in it for sure. So
Yeah.
next time, we'll talk more about your children as well as China. So look me up in a couple of years when you're back.
Thank you, Kurt. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Albert. Appreciate you. Hi, this is Kurt Baer, host of the Loco Experience podcast and founder of Loco Think Tank. Every week, I explore intimate conversations with business founders and leaders. And so I hope you'll join us this week and every week for a new episode of the Loco Experience.